Hi, I'm Jezebel, firstcomicsnews.com, and I'm here with Skottie.
What's up?
I'm so excited. I'm a huge fan, and the reason that I'm a huge fan is because I really don't like a lot of things. And actually to the point where my ex-boyfriend was like, I'm just a fangirl of myself. And I actually was going through a really rough time about 2 months ago, and I received a PDF copy review of I Hate Fairyland,
yes,
like an entire volume 1, and I literally I read the whole thing immediately.
Well, that's amazing.
It is amazing.
Thank you.
It is absolutely
Thank you so much.
amazing. And so I was really excited when I heard that you were going to be at this convention. This is my first time at this particular convention.
Cool.
And I don't know that I have necessarily seen you at other conventions or not.
Okay.
Probably, maybe, but I didn't really necessarily know your name.
Right.
But I'm really excited that you're at this convention. And thank you for sitting down and talking with me.
My pleasure.
I came by I came by at like 3:45 because I came by like noon.
Right.
And you had a sign like 3:45. I'll be back.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and for literally an hour and a half solid, you had a line around your table and around the back side of.
Kind of a big deal.
You're kind of a big deal.
I can't help it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I forgive you.
Okay.
You did
Great.
I Hate Fairyland.
Awesome.
So can you like tell me a little bit about how you came up with this concept or what you were doing? Like, how did this become a thing?
Well, I adapted the Wizard of Oz novels with Eric Schenauer at Marvel Comics, and for like 5 or 6 years. So we did 6 volumes of that, a lot of comics, like almost close to 50 comics of the Wizard of Oz. And so I spent a lot of time in these fantasy worlds, and I read Alice in Wonderland when I was a kid 1 billion times, and I love The Labyrinth and Neverending Story, and I like fantasy portal stories. And I also started having children, and I realized that my days were spent with weird, terrible sounding digital music toys and Dora the Explorer and bullshit songs that are like, I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map. And I'm like, and so I just started thinking like, why don't these girls, these little children that go off to these fantasy worlds ever get annoyed at the characters they come in contact with? And then when I asked myself that question, I was like, well, let's see what that looks like.
Okay.
And that's literally kind of it was the general idea behind I Hate Fairyland was, what would it be like if the character who went there was annoyed that they were there instead of thinking it was great and learning life lessons and things like that?
No, she spends like 37 years stuck in this this thing.
She's quite bad at the quest.
She's really bad at it. Yeah. And so to the point where Fairyland starts kind of hating her too.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's I mean, it's that classic thing, which is like, everybody needs to be careful what they wish for, right?
Sure.
Fairyland thinks it's great to steal kids from their real world and have them come on the adventures, but that could backfire on them as well.
Sure. I read up to the end of volume 1, and it almost felt like the very last issue, like you had almost kind of started to complete a story arc, and then that last issue just kind of like was like a random issue. So I don't know like how you did your story arcs, and maybe I don't necessarily know how that fit, because I can't remember if it was like.
Don't spoil it.
No, sorry. I'm sorry. It's so fucking good. It's so good. I actually did a review on it, and I've messaged you on Twitter, and I've tagged it on like Facebook and Image, and like nobody's responding to any of my shit, and I'm like,
I don't look at Twitter that often. Sorry.
That's fair enough, because nobody looks at my Twitter.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil the end, but I'll just say, like, jump in and read the second volume and see where that goes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because you're on, like, what, episode, I think, 16?
16 just came out, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because Image was on Twitter posting about it.
Yeah,
like, you are all over Image's Twitter right now, just so you're aware.
I'm up on
You're a thing. You're
a big deal.
You're a big deal. So is that what you're working on right now? Like, what else? Do you have other projects?
I'm doing that, and I'm also writing 2 new books at Image that aren't announced yet with 2 other artist friends of mine that are co-creating the books with me.
Okay.
And then I am also going to be writing a new Marvel book coming up that is not announced yet either. So not a lot of things I can spill the beans on, but there are a lot more projects coming from me on top of I Hate Fairyland.
Okay. Now, how do you feel like, not necessarily one versus the other, but it's definitely probably different writing for Marvel and being confined to a certain story arc compared to being your own creator. Like, how do you...
I view both challenges in a really fun way. I mean, you know, creating stories from the ground up is amazing because it really is the world that you're building, and you know, you're defining these characters yourself. But on the other hand, the challenges of writing characters at Marvel are also fun because you're using history. I get to go and play with toys that have been around for years and years and years and years, and then put my spin on that. So that's a lot of fun too. So some of the heavy lifting's been done for me over the last 40 years sometimes on these characters at Marvel, where I get to go in and just start brainstorming my take on it versus Image. You know, when I do my creator won't work at Image, which is what I love the most. Is just sitting down and coming up with things whole cloth from scratch. So they're both equally fun in absolutely different ways.
Do you feel like working for Marvel and working through doing that has helped you become like a better creator on the backside?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I've been at Marvel for almost 17 years, so I've been, like, I started there when I was in my early 20s. I'm getting ready to turn 40, so. And so, I mean, they taught me everything, you know, how to make comics, how this business works. I've learned so much there. So yeah, I mean, working at Marvel has absolutely, you know, I Hate Fairyland and my creator-owned work, my new creator-owned books that are coming out that we'll announce soon, they absolutely are beneficiaries of my time at Marvel, absolutely.
Do you, I don't know, it's been a long fucking day, so.
It's a long day. We're wrapping it up?
Yeah, almost, yeah. I do have one question that I ask everyone. It is my question.
Okay.
If there was one thing that you would want people to know, which they may not.
Okay, about what?
However you interpret that question.
One thing I'd like people to know that they may not.
What would it be?
That cauliflower fried rice actually tastes good and it shouldn't. Boom.
You have it, folks. Skottie Young, Jezebel. See ya!